You're listening to Left at the Valley 2.0.
Let's do a top 10. Oh, boy. Well, since we just talked about hurricanes, I thought we'd do a top 10 about the top 10 worst hurricanes.
Oh, my. Okay.
So make it nice and simple.
Great, man. Thanks. No PTSD at all from me. Yeah,
I know. How are you doing, Brent? Do you need help here? Trigger warning for you?
So a hurricane is described as a tropical storm that the winds will hit 74 miles an hour plus, which is 119 kilometers an hour plus. The funny thing is, a hurricane, if you're in the Indian or South Pacific Ocean, it's actually called a cyclone. If you're in the Western Pacific, they call them typhoons. So they just have different names. The same phenomenon, essentially. They just have different names depending where you are geographically.
Huh. I didn't know that. I learned something new.
Don't they spin the opposite way or something?
Sorry?
Don't they spin the opposite way or something like that? I might just repeat something stupid.
They used to be, apparently they used to only come in the northern hemisphere, but because of climate change now, apparently they start seeing hurricanes south of the equator, and maybe because of the Coriolis effect, they do spin the other way.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I'm not exactly sure. Don't quote me on this.
Okay. I think Brent was trying to make a joke.
No, I'm serious. No, he was right. Because the Coriolis, that's what it's called, where things spin.
Okay. Yeah, where they spin stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So this top 10 list is basically based on basically what the storm did by property damage, powerful winds, and human tragedy.
And it could be a hurricane, a cyclone, or a typhoon.
No, these are just hurricanes.
Okay.
So number 10. This was Herky and Sandy. Remember Herky and Sandy?
Yep.
This happened in October 2012.
New Jersey, wasn't it?
Around there. The Herky and Sandy had 13-foot surges, left part of Manhattan underwater.
Wow. I didn't know it hit New York, too.
Yes. 650,000 homes were destroyed. It killed 117 people in the U.S., 69 people in Canada, and the Caribbean as well. And it cost $6.5 billion to fix what Sandy did.
Yeah.
And that's number 10?
That's number 10.
Jesus.
No. The damage vary up and down because you also have to think about time, right? There are some hurricanes 100 years ago, which
but they need to put those in today dollars and tell us. But even then, I guess
I don't have
there's more population too. When you think about it, though, there's more people, so there's more property. So more property means more property.
It costs 20 shillings.
Yeah.
In today's money.
In today's dollars is $5 billion.
And then convert it to Canadian.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then that's infinity dollars.
Number 9, you had Hurricane Ivan. He came in at September 16, 2004, around Alabama. He was a Category 3. He produced 50-foot waves.
Wow.
But he went from a Category 3 to a Category 5 3 times. So by the time he actually came, and he picked up more strength over the water in the Gulf of Mexico, and then made landfall, so he was basically up and down, up and down. The winds went to 120 miles an hour, which is 193 kilometers an hour, and it killed 57 people. And the cost for that one, the damage was $27 billion.
Wow.
Jeez.
Number 8, Hurricane Camille. This was in August 1969.
That would be why I've never heard of it.
But the winds of Hurricane Camille were 200 miles an hour.
Whoa!
Which is 320 kilometers an hour. You had 24-foot surges in the Mississippi, and it dumped 20 inches of rain in the region.
Sorry, where was this again?
Around the Mississippi.
Wow.
Yeah. Jesus.
It caused 256 deaths, and it cost $1.4 billion in 1969.
Wow.
Coming in at number 7, you had Gilbert.
That sounds kind of
Now, Gilbert was huge. The size of Gilbert was 500 miles in diameter, which is 926 kilometers in diameter. Huge storm.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that's like from here to Grand Forks.
Yeah.
And back.
So he landed in September 1988. When the Gilbert was coming up, he covered all of the island of Jamaica, all of it, before eventually landing in Texas. He killed 318 people, including in Mexico and Cuba, and the cost for Gilbert was $5.5 billion.
Whoa.
Goodness.
Jeez.
That's huge.
Number 6, the 1935 Florida Keys Labor Day hurricane.
It didn't have a name
That's right, and I'm getting to that.
before naming.
Can we give it a name?
Not anymore. So same thing, 200 miles an hour wind, 320 kilometers.
Wow.
It killed 400 people. Most of the deaths were actually World War I veterans that were building a highway from Key West.
That's horrible.
As you noticed, naming the hurricanes actually only started in 1953.
Mm-hmm. And I know they alternate male and female.
But they all started giving female names in 1978.
Yeah,
They're
that came
run
later.
out of male names.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So number 5 coming in, of course, we just talked about this, Katrina.
Yeah,
This was in August of 2005.
Oh yeah.
they killed a lot of people.
Killed 1,833 people. It cost $161 billion and displaced 400,000 people, places to Houston and Atlanta. And like we said, it was mostly, they think of it as mostly man-caused because the city was so unprepared.
And it devastated
Yeah.
proportionately people of color.
Yeah, and there was a lot of government
and
cuts
those
into
below
the
the
safety
poverty
system.
line.
Yeah,
A lot of those people evacuated and didn't come back. We have quite a few Katrina evacuees that still live in the area.
Wow. I'm kind of not surprised because how do they go back? Like,
Because there was basically they came here, they got FEMA money as they should have, and then they established themselves here, and there was no point in going back.
yeah. And would you? I don't think I could. I think I would have such PTSD. I'd be like, no fucking way. I'm not living there again.
I don't think I could find myself living in a place where hurricanes are just a fact of life on a regular basis. Like,
Yeah, I couldn't either.
Why? It
That's
seems
why
like
I
a lot
just
of-
here. And why
There
I
was a-
go farther in the interior because I need to get away from earthquakes too.
There was a point here where some Katrina evacuees were at this bar I was hanging out at. And someone was like, they're using their FEMA money for this. I was like, they lost their houses. If they want to buy a drink, they should be able to buy a drink.
God damn.
Like, why are people so worried about what other people do?
Fair enough.
Like, what are you allowed to spend your government money on? Like, just fucking give me a goddamn.
I was like,
list.
they give them a debit card to spend their money. It wasn't. No one said how they're supposed to spend it. Like, if you want to use it to buy a few drinks, go ahead.
no,
don't care if
you're
you buy
only supposed
crack,
to buy
man.
plywood.
Like-
You're only supposed to buy plywood and nothing else. Plywood, nails, that's it.
Build your own house.
Yeah, build
Get
your own-
over it.
Sandbags and
Pull
that's
yourself up by your
Up,
bootstraps.
exactly,
it.
right?
Fuck.
Coming in at number 4, Hurricane Maria. This was in 2017. This was actually the second Category 5 hurricane in 2017. The winds went up to 175 miles an hour, which is 281 kilometers an hour. It killed 146 people in the U.S., but it also killed what they estimate is 2,975 people in Puerto Rico. This is why Puerto Rico has been, essentially devastated since.
Yeah.
The cost in Puerto Rico alone were estimated to be $90 billion. Wow. Number 3, we have the Galveston Hurricane of 1900. So we're going way back here.
Oh yeah.
So it killed up to 12,000
It needs
people,
a name.
mostly in Texas.
It's the name of the location, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Galveston was the place it hit, right?
I know,
Right,
it needs
okay.
a different name. Like George.
Gabby. Hurricane
So
Gabby.
let's put this into perspective, though. Okay, because I live in Texas, but Galveston, from where I'm at, I'm not worried about it because it's like an 8-hour drive.
I'm assuming it's really south, close to the water. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, it's
Yep.
right on the Gulf.
Okay. Mostly in Texas, 20-foot storm surges. It cost $30 million at the time in 1900.
Wow, that's a lot.
But this is the difference back then. After the storm, the people realized that this was unacceptable. So they built a 10-mile seawall, and they actually raised the entire city by 16 feet.
Smart.
So,
What? How do you do that?
well, basically,
You
new
start
construction
lifting it?
was I guess the old
Get a big
buildings were
crank?
destroyed, but the new ones were built higher.
Oh,
Right on top of the old one.
okay.
Well, yeah,
Using bowling balls in between.
there you go.
Those
Recall
things
another-
to hold your.
Yeah.
They get those
We're
things
gonna
to
have
hold
to
your
start
car up.
numbering our episodes so I can be like, that was episode 122.
Number 2, Mitch. This was in October 1998. Mitch was a slow-moving hurricane that hit Honduras really, really hard. It dumped 4 inches of rain per hour for 2 days.
Oh,
Jeez.
see, they needed Noah.
Did it look like a turtle?
Free that votes, I'm sure. It killed 11,000 people.
Oh,
And it
That's
cost $5
devastating.
billion in Honduras. Nicaragua lost 2,000 people as well
Wow.
for Hurricane Mitch. It didn't make the news really big in the U.S. and
not.
Canada at the time, but it was really, really nasty. And the number one position was the Great Hurricane of 1780. So we're going
You
way
really
back
had to
here.
dig back there.
We had to go way back because 1780 was, George Washington was still around.
I was gonna
It-
say.
It made its way through the Caribbean, killing 22,000 people,
Goodness.
including soldiers from the U.S. and Britain that were on the seas fighting the Revolutionary War.
Holy
Whew.
Sea battles, right? It bombarded Barbados, Martinique, and St. Lucia for 6 days in October, and is still considered today to be the deadliest hurricane of all time.
Wow.
wow.
So there you go, a little bit of history.
Because back then you didn't know what was coming.
Well, that, and I was gonna say, and people didn't have like the same structural.
No. Infrastructure.
advantages we
This is
have.
also why I didn't have any cost or anything like that.
Like, did they have drainage, like drainage systems back then?
Probably
Probably
not.
not, right?
Right.
Like
Okay.
I said,
It's like-
when you're killing 22,000 people,
Mhm.
that's
Because
a lot of
storm
people.
surge is basically just everything's underwater in like 3 seconds.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, like you're just all of a sudden underwater. Like
Yeah.
that's
Storms like that, yeah.
People often always underestimate the power of water.
Mm-hmm.
To give you an idea, if you don't know, it takes 1 foot of water to move your car.
Yeah.
So 1 foot of water is enough to move your car downstream. So it's not much. It's really not much, but that's all it needs.
and so when you're talking 22 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Have you ever
That's a lot
watched
of moving
videos
cars,
of,
man.
the tsunami coming in Japan. Have you ever seen videos of that?
Oh,
The
that is
tsunami
terrible.
after,
The Fukushima one?
The tsunami.
after the earthquake there.
That was
Yeah.
crazy.
The
You see all the
actual-
water
that was-
just
It's
It
just
disappeared.
coming and people are running and it's just coming so fast. It's picking up entire cars, trees,
Yeah.
parks, and it's just like moving it down the road. It was
If the water doesn't kill you, what it's carrying will.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
absolutely heartbreaking to watch. Like I was devastated watching it. I think I'd shed a tear if I.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And,
there was some
of
video
course,
that was
if you all also remember the what was the one that hit Sri Lanka really bad? And was it 2004?
Oh, the big the other tsunami.
Tsunami earthquake in the I think
And
it was
then
2004.
it was literally washing people away.
yeah, 250,000 people just like
Yeah.
that's
Entire
it.
villages.
All
were
right, so
like, no.
growing
Anyway.
up Mormon, they told us that Satan controlled the water, so this all makes sense.
Why would Satan control the water?
I thought he was the prince of power of the
That's
air.
part of the whole baptism thing. You're leaving all your sins in the water. Like, I don't know, with some.
Yeah, but I thought he
you're
was
grabbing
I thought he was
onto
more
him.
like I thought he was more like the fire guy. No, Satan should have the fire. No,
Well, he needs the water to put out the fire.
That's why he likes water so much.
Yeah.
so he's got fire and water, and
Uh-huh.
he just needs wind
Yeah.
and everything. He can form Captain Planet. There we go.
Yes.
Exactly. And he's
I
the prince of power of
All
the
the
air.
powers combined. I am Captain Planet. I remember.
But he doesn't have heart. Okay, that's
Oh,
one thing he's
that's right.
missing.
That's the only one.
I
That's the
forget
most
about
important.
that.